Welcome to a new video! Today I'm going to share with you my Blue Eyes deck profile. And Blue Eyes is a deck that is very special to me because it's the first deck that I competitive deck during that time in 2016 that I finished because I opened up 2 boxes of Shining Victories and got almost everything I need and then completed everything that is not in that set, from other products that kind of got released during that time. And this deck is really cool, just still plays in the same way in 2016 because we didn't really get anything new. And now that elpy is banned, we're kind of like going back into the roots of the deck, which I don't think is a bad thing. I actually kind of like that quite a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And before we jump right into the video itself, I'm going to remind you that if you want to see more videos like this, and essentially also support the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button, give a like if you enjoyed the video, and also let me know in the comments down below what you think, because I'm always like to hear what you guys think about certain card choices that I make, or other thoughts that you have which might be interesting. Also, your questions, I like to answer those as well. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video itself. Alright, so starting the list off, we're going to start things off with obviously the triple copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon, followed up by the double copies of Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon, the 1 copy of Blue Eyes Spirit, the Dragon Spirit of White, the 1 copy of Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, and the double copies of Nebula Dragon for our dragons. Basically, these are our 9 trade-in targets / level 8 dragons that are basically the core of our deck. Blue Eyes doesn't really need any explanation. It's Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's the core of the archetype. It's basically what the archetype is based all around. One thing I would say, however, about Blue Eyes is that if you are going into an actual competitive play 3 of the same art in every single card, like when you're playing it, because different arts can also just kind of give your opponent kind of like an information about your cards, which you don't want. So if you have 3 of the same arts of like for a particular hand trap or whatever, always go with the same art for everything when you're playing competitively. But for fun, for this video, I'm just going to go with 3 different ones just for fun. Then double alternative, I'm only running 2 because this card is really good, but it's a brick in more than 1 in your hand. It's not like Blue Eyes where you can just use it a little bit with things like Nebula Dragon, which can then special summon it from the hand, which obviously you can also trade in it and everything, but it's a lot more harder to use than an actual Blue Eyes, which is also the main card of the deck. So basically 2 copies of alternative, it's enough, it's searchable, it's good enough. Spirit of White is basically serve as your 4th Blue Eyes normal monster in a way, and it's also another target that Nebula Dragon can summon, because these 3 specifically it's can't, and this one is just serve as a monster reborn in this deck, because it's just really good. It's the free rank 8, which is pretty powerful. Again, searchable, you just need the 1 copy. But that does it for the big dragons. We run, like I said, 9 copies, or should I say 9 dragons overall. Now for the small tuner engine, 3 copies of Sage, 3 copies of White Stone of Ancients, and 1 copy of Legends. Pretty straightforward. This is pretty much the lineup that you need for the Blue Eyes little tuners. Sage is absolutely amazing, as you probably know. Normal summon it, you get to search any level 1 tuner, which can also be Effect Veiler, which we do run in our hand trap department. So you only need, it's really good, so you don't even need to grab those. You have additional 2 targets with Effect Veiler, which is pretty powerful. It's also a very good card because you can just have 2 of them, or any other effect monster on the field, then you discard it and send that monster to the graveyard on the field, and then you get to special summon a Blue Eyes monster directly from your deck, which can give you the body that you want, or sometimes even trigger some of your effects. In the case of Ancients during the end phase is basically a summon of a Blue Eyes monster directly from your deck, which is either going to be the original or alternative, and not alternative, or Dragon Spirit of White, because it's counted as a Blue Eyes monster. But mostly the effect that you actually care about is the ability to recover Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard. You actually sometimes don't even want to wait for this during the end phase and actually to recover the monster immediately, because sometimes you do need the Blue Eyes in your hand, which is pretty important. So this card is very powerful. And then in the case of White Stone of Legends, well, this card was supposed to be the most important card when elpy was around, but now that elpy is banned, you only need to run the 1. it's not as good. You're just going to go into straight old Blue Eyes, as I said before. And basically, this card is just, just search for you Blue Eyes every single time that you discard it, or just find a way to just send it to the graveyard, which is pretty good on that department. But that does it for those, and that does it for, the monsters that you actually use. Then for the hand traps, double Phantasme, double Ash, and double Effect Veiler. I decided to not use the same hand traps, 3-offs. You can technically cut maybe some of these, and just run, maybe cut one of these and run a third Veiler, a third Ash, because you can search Veiler, but I like the different lineup of hand traps so I can draw into multiples and not the same ones, and I kind of run overall with the two Imperms 8 hand traps. And the reason why I also like Phantasme rather than a Bale or anything else is because this deck, even with all of the consistency cards that you're going to see later, is very, very, very bricky. Because this deck is a really bricky deck. Even with a lot of trade-ins, even though we have Pot of Desires and other stuff, this deck is still very, very bricky, and you need ways to fix your hand. And this, even with one Link monster, this is basically draw 2, put a card back, and develop a body on the board. It's very, very powerful. It's a good card. It also protects itself, which is really cool. Ash Blossom is just Ash Blossom. It's really important. And this one is just also good this format, and also searchable. And that does it for the hand traps and does it for the monsters. Now we'll move on into the spells. And for the spells, first off, free Melody of Awakening Dragon, 3 trade-in, double Desires, and then also 1 card of Coincidence for our so-called consistency cards. Melody is just allowing you to search up to 6 targets with the 3 Blue Eyes, the double alternative, and the the Chaos Dragon Levianeer, so you have 6 targets overall. You can discard 1 copy of itself anyway, so if you open up with 2, that's fine. Trade-in, you have 9 targets, that's pretty good. Desires, just giving you a +1, and while it is a little bit of annoying sometimes to, banish your 2 Blue Eyes out of 3, it's very, very worth it. I don't recommend to run 3 of it, but I think 2 is enough. Because sometimes, like I said, your hand traps are absolutely, or should I say not hand trap, but your hand is absolutely dead opener. And a trade-in, because you didn't open up with a level 8, will not help you. So having the double Desires is actually kind of fine. If you don't like Desires, you can always cut it down and run something else, but I like the double Desires. And then the 1 card of Coincidence, because you can technically search a stone with Sage, and then discard it, which is pretty easy because you have 7 targets, 7 targets overall if you also count the 3 searches of Sage. So that's also pretty good in that department. But that's consistency card, and then revival cards we have 3. Double Return and 1 Monster Reborn. I don't think I need to explain this. This gives you protection, this is versatile, you just need to run 2 and 1 in my opinion. You can technically run 3 of this, or even 1 of this, 1 Silver Cry and 1 Monster Reborn if you want different utilities, but I think these 2 and this one is just all you need. And that's it for the spells. For the traps, you do run a little bit of a trap count because you do want to control the board a little bit. So run 3 copies of Sullen Strike, which can be any trap of your choice, the double copies of Infinite Impermanence for the, hand trap, and then the 1 copy of Skill Drain, because this deck doesn't really care about Skill Drain that much. It doesn't really hurt us that much because your big monsters are normal monsters. And while it does hurt some of your monsters, you can always just activate their effects before, or it's not important enough for you. So Skill Drain can buy you enough time sometimes to basically close games, which is pretty important. And Infinite Impermanence, if you don't have the money, you can switch this for any other hand traps. And like I said, this can be also any other trap of your choice. Can even be a Toronto Tribute, can be your medical of your choice, can be even Solemn Judgment if you prefer. I like Solemn Strikes because monster effects are always just a big thing. And also special summoning, and being able to only pay 1500 for negate is a lot better than paying half of my life points, and put myself in an access codes zone. So yeah, that's for that. But that does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on into the extra deck. And for the extra deck, I run double copies of Blue Eye Spear Dragon, 1 Azure Eye Silver Dragon, and 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon for my synchros. These are all the synchros that you need. You can technically also run, Crystal Wing, because you can technically make this into a Crystal Wing if you feel like it, but I think you want your spots as they are because you have other cards in the extra deck that are pretty important. As for Blue Eyes Spear Dragon, very, very good card. This is a really good card. This card is, since its release, is absolutely amazing. It's able to negate an effect in the graveyard, which is already really good. The second effect is that your opponent, or should I say anybody, cannot summon 2 or more monsters at the same time, so pendulums are dead. So it's kind of funny on that. It does conflict with your Nebula Dragon as well, but it does kill pendulums and other decks that kind of like want to summon multiple monsters at the same time. And also it can take itself out to any of these two, which this is protection, as well as a kind of like a monster reborn for your normal monster each standby phase. And then this one is just a free bounce, which is cool. Now, of course, this will make them destroy themselves during the end phase, but this one has its own built-in protection because of his own effect, so we will not die for this effect. And this one, if you have Return the Dragon Lords in the graveyard, it will be able to survive because you will just banish that. So that's pretty cool. Also, this is a Blue Eyes in its text, so you can recycle it with the White Stone of Ancients, just to note that as well. And now for the Xyz, 1 Draglubion, 1 number 38, 1 Galaxy Tachyon Galaxy, 1 Numeron Dragon, 1 Photon Lord, and then the 1 copy of Sunfond, the Sky Prison, I guess, or should I say Sky Prison. This is the Xyz monster lineup I decided to run. Draglubion kind of makes sense. It's for the Numeron Dragon OTK. But I also run like a 1.5 package for it because some people actually like to run 2 sets for the Draglubion Numeron Dragon OTK. Some like to run 1 set. I actually like to run 1.5 sets because I could find myself using Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy. But I don't also want to run way too many of these because it clogs my extra deck. So I decided to run 3 targets. So if I need to use this, I will basically put under this card. Most of the time I'm already going to do that anyway, but for the off chance that I need to use this, although I don't really know why, I will just, put this under this. Or sometimes vice versa. It's kind of weird. It's very hard to explain, but I really want to have the ability to be flexible with my extra deck targets, so I decided to run 3 targets for Draglubion. So that was my choice. Number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, makes sense. It's a monster negate, and this one just kills Graveyard Effect. It's a big, should I say, Abyss Dweller for rank 8, which is really cool, so it's also very, very good in this meta, so I decided to run it. Now, of course, you can change these however you want if you don't have Draglubion, but you can do whatever you want. Like I said, I think 3 targets is the correct one for Draglubion. Of course, you can run 2, you can run 4, you can do whatever you want, but this kind of works for me. And then for the Link monsters, which are the last part of the extra deck, I like to run the 1 copy of Anima for going second, Linkaribo for going first, Herodic Seal if I need to use 2 dragons for, an interruption, Crystal Haki Firebrax if I need a tuner specifically for my deck, and then the free spot of a Link monster, which I decided to go with Ningirsu. Ningirsu, the World Chalice Warrior, not Ningirsu, the first one. I decided to go with him because he's a good interruption, or should I say not interruption, removal that is pretty easy to climb into in this deck, because you can just go Haki Firebrax, summon a level 1 tuner from your deck, go Linkaribo, go into this, remove something, pretty easy. Pretty awesome. This can also be an access code, an Appaloosa, whatever you want. I just felt World Chalice Warrior is a lot better for what I'm going for. But that's pretty much does it for the extra deck and does it for the deck profile. Overall, I think it's honestly the best way to play Blue Eyes at the moment. Like I said, we lost elpy, so the deck is kind of need to go back to its roots, which I don't think it's a bad thing. I do wish, however, that we actually will get an awesome support like they're doing for Dark Magician all the time, because it looks like if they're actually going to, for Legacy support, for some reason Blue Eye is always getting the short end of the stick when it comes to Legacy support when they're doing, between the rivals. But who knows, we might actually going to get something good for this in the future. Unfortunately, we didn't really get anything since 2016 that was absolutely amazing to run in this deck that is actually in theme support. But yeah, this archetype is still really, really fun. It's very, very nostalgic. It's kind of cool. And honestly, I just really like to play this deck because, like I said from the start, this is the first actual competitive decks in 2016 that I finished, which was really fun for me. So yeah, that's pretty much does it for that, and let's wrap up the video with the next deck choices. Alright, so for the next deck choices, there's really not a whole lot much to say. Basically, these choices, I might actually go to do them at the end of the week, maybe the start of the next one, we'll see. But the point is that the upcoming options, obviously 3 of them are from last week, which are Shadows, Raid Raptors, and Abyss Actors. But the 4th option is an option that I never did on the channel before, which I think now that I have almost all the cards, I think it's about time we should maybe suggest doing it, and that is Earth Machine. Earth Machine is a collective. Now, of course, I could also do Train or stuff like that if you guys prefer something more pure, but I think doing Earth Machine could be very, very fun because I never really done that on the channel, and I think it's just a very cool deck that maybe fell into the wayside right now because in the meta right now it's not the best thing, but it's still very, very fun and mostly is on a budget, which I guess we'll talk about that when we will get to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So, like I said, 4 options: Shadows, Raid Raptors, Abyss Actors, or Earth Machines. These are the 4 options that I'm going to do probably during the end of the week or the start of the next one. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. So, pretty much anything else to say I don't really have. If you enjoy this, please consider like and subscribing to the channel. And creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.